Well, thanks for everybody for coming out. Yeah, we're excited for this 2021 season that we have approaching quickly. Preseason has gone well. It's always too short, but excited to have the new group out in front of everybody. We've had a couple of friendly matches or scrimmages, but everything is for real starting on Thursday. So we feel we've got a good group, a young group in terms of some new faces that we expect to play important roles for us. But we also have, I think, 14 juniors and seniors on the roster this year. So we expect to lean on those guys heavily in terms of dealing with tough matches and tough moments. So we're really looking forward to this mixture of an older group of 14 guys and returners, and then a good young group as well. So coming off a fairly successful spring season, which was odd for everybody, only playing Big Ten games, but feeling good about some of the progress we've made. We think the addition of some new players and the returning guys, we're excited for this group. Again, just getting started on Thursday. We'll get tested well against a Delaware side that we know has some real good international players, and their coach is a friend of mine and has done a very good job there. So we expect it to be a tough match, but really looking forward to seeing this group in front of everybody, and looking forward to having the supporters out and watching the team and where we're headed. So happy to answer any questions you guys have.
We'll start with Brian Fonseca, NJ.com, Star Ledger.
Sure. Jim, you mentioned the preseason. You had 3 games, 3 looks at your team. What do you like about them so far? What are you guys doing well? And where are some areas you kind of want to clean up before you head into the Big Ten play?
Yeah, Brian, it's fun seeing some of the young faces and kind of putting them in with some of our older players and really kind of seeing those relationships develop. The preseason games are a big help, but they're not real. We're trying different things. We were lucky in that we had the opportunity to play pretty much everybody on our roster in all 3 games, so we feel good about that, having everybody an opportunity to play. But there's still a lot to work on in terms of those relationships. When you're putting new players in, how do they adjust to the older guys? How do we kind of manage tough situations, which we really haven't faced yet in these preseason games? So, I'm really happy with some of the those kind of first steps that our new guys have made with our older players. Many of them look like they've played together for a long time, so we feel good about that. But, there's always little moments that we want to improve on. I think there were some moments in transition in some of our preseason games that, we need to clean up, and which is normal in terms of, we're attacking and creating opportunities, but, making sure we're solid at the back. And I think set pieces are things that we all want to work on continually throughout preseason, but also as the season goes on, we've got to get better on both ends of those, but we feel pretty good about the potential in those areas.
We'll go to Dom next from Big Ten Plus.
Hey, Jim, how are you?
Hey, Dom.
Just a quick thought on the offense. You have a lot of options back there: Jackson Temple, Richie Berry, Pablo Mavia. How does the offense look, and having all of those returners back to play together for another season? Where have they been able to take a step up?
Yeah, having this extra year of eligibility for guys across the country has helped. But for us, it's been 2 players, Vince Borden in the midfield, but also having Richie Berry come back, scoring 4 goals for us last year, made a really good impact for our group. So we're excited for him to come back and continue to grow and even get better. Pablo, as you mentioned, has been an important player since he stepped on campus for us. Brings a lot of different dynamics to us, and he and Jackson, play well together. We try to keep them together a lot in training because their relationship is so good. It's rare that you maybe have all 3 of those guys, return. So we feel lucky in that respect. But I think there's some players too that will add to that as well. Someone like Nico Rosamilia, somebody that will find his way into the lineup as well, who's a freshman. Ula Mayland was on our team last year. He had a kind of a slower start with COVID, but last spring, but ended up scoring a great goal against Maryland in our quarterfinal game. So he's back as well. So, we feel good about some of the options we have. We've talked to our group of kind of like a strength in numbers type approach, and I think that's going to be us in attack as well. We won't rely on one guy. I think it's going to be a team effort, truly a team effort with those 3 guys in addition to the others that I mentioned. And I think there's still somebody probably in our group that maybe has started off slowly this this kind of preseason that I think will step up, and I feel good about we'll have some ability to score some goals this year. It's just I don't think it's going to be through one guy. I think it's going to be that whole group that you mentioned. So it's a fun group to be around. They love attacking and kind of concentrating on that in training. So they've worked hard. So I'm looking forward to them even getting better.
Next question from Chris Konis from the Daily Target.
Hey, Coach. Last season you guys had a shortened Big Ten only schedule, and now after a shortened off season, you have a bit of a out of conference schedule as well before you get into the thick of it with Big Ten play. So I guess how much of a benefit is that, and how does that sort of change how you tackle the preseason?
Yeah, Chris, it's huge. I think last spring was challenging for everybody for all the reasons we know. But in our soccer world, in the Big Ten, we weren't allowed to play preseason matches, and not having out of conference matches, we really just jumped right into the Big Ten schedule. And as you guys know, it's not easy. And but I think one of the real difficulties with that is it kind of limited opportunities for some players during that spring season, because we were right into Big Ten conference games that you need to get points from if you want to qualify for the conference playoffs and all those things. So this year, having those preseason games is vital. We started off only a couple of days in playing Coach Mazer, an All-American, previous All-American here at Rutgers, but we only were in camp for a couple of days, both teams, and it was really just a good run out of kind of a physical exercise. We played Fordham in the next game, where I thought we were just a little bit ahead of them in terms of our preseason. It was our second game, it was their first game, so that was a good kind of result for us in terms of scoring some goals and playing players. And then the last game playing Syracuse, an ACC school that's had a lot of success in the past, so that was a really good test for us, and I felt that our guys were up for the physical challenge of it. So those games are really important. Now, they're not exactly the same feel as a real game, as we know. So you're not kind of grinding out a result if you're winning 1-0, or chasing a game and throwing everything at it if you're down 1-0 or down a goal late in the game. So it's not 100% of that feel, but I think those games are really important. And as I mentioned before, it's trying to create relationships with our older players and our new players, and we need those game minutes to create those. So, though our season starts on Thursday and those games are for real, and we're well aware of that, I think we'll even develop as the season goes on as well. We'll keep kind of getting better, and it's something that I think our group has done a good job with the last couple of years, and I expect them to do the same, as we will get better as the season goes on.
Brian, back to you.
Yeah, you talked about this before, but a couple of your guys, or I don't know how many of your guys stayed after the spring here, had an extended preseason, I guess. What does that show you about your team, that guys are willing to put in that extra work without, obviously, I don't think you guys were able to coach them even, just to put in that extra time?
Yeah, it's something that we've talked about since I got here at Rutgers. Can we get our players here more in the summer, whether it's through summer school, so that they have an opportunity to work with our strength coach over the summer? What we found this year is with Rutgers only being online in the summer, that really wasn't the recipe to have kids come back. Really, we just threw it to the players and said, hey, we have a full-time strength coach here that works with men's and women's soccer only. That's his kind of expertise. He's here all summer. We encourage you guys to come back. And our captains, Pablo and Tommy DeVizio, kind of led that charge. We're lucky in that we have a lot of fairly local players, so some of the guys could kind of commute in from home. We have players that have been here for the last couple of years that have apartments off campus, so they kind of took it on their own initiative to come and work out with Ruben, our strength coach, and that extra kind of 3 weeks prior to us being able to train them in August. One, it shows a big commitment from the group, something that I don't think was there, kind of in the recent history in terms of guys wanting to be back here. Some of it's this beautiful facility that we're in that makes a huge difference in the environment. Our guys love being here. The fields are great. The locker room, it kind of encourages them to be here. And then having Ruben as a full-time strength coach for men's and women's soccer only makes a huge difference in the approach of our players. So I'm really proud of them wanting to be here, working hard on their own, and it's helped them massively in that they're far ahead from where they were maybe the year before. And coming off an interesting spring season, as you mentioned, they just wanted to get back here and start playing. And so we feel good about kind of their commitment to the team and to their future. So, I think we'll see those benefits, maybe not in this little short term, but over the whole entire season. I think that'll really pay off for our group.
Go back to Dom.
Now, you mentioned the fact that you have a lot of players back this year. I think it's 21 of 24 from last season. But you also add 10 newcomers, and that includes 3 Division I transfers. Now that you've gotten to see your team a couple of times this season, in the preseason that is, who has contributed, who will contribute once we get to the fall?
Yeah, I think there's the mixture, you mean, between the freshmen and the transfers? Both of those groups, you mean? Or just the transfers?
Oh yeah, just in general, who of the new faces, the 10 new guys, will we see contribute consistently this year?
Yeah, I think it's a good question. I think you're going to see a lot. I think in some of these preseason games we've had a couple of local guys contribute a lot. Joey Zielinski, Matty Acosta, Nico Rosamilia are all fairly local guys here that have played big roles in our first couple of preseason games. Nico scored a couple of goals. Joey's played a lot. Matty's played a lot. I think those guys are going to be big additions to our group. You look at transfers. Jason Borgery is a local product here from New Jersey, transferred to us from American, has played a good role here in preseason, brings a lot of different types of qualities that I think our team kind of needed a little bit, and there's other freshmen as well that we think are going to be able to add to the group. So I think there's a really good mixture of some freshmen and some transfers that are going to immediately jump in, and they're not going to play like new players. I think if you came and watched us now, you wouldn't be able to tell, hey, he's a new guy, right? Some of our freshmen really play like experienced guys, and I think they're learning from some of the guys like a Tommy DeVizio, who's been here now for 4 years, a local guy from Scotch Plains. So I think he takes a big leadership role to the younger guys. Anthony O'Donnell, a Staten Island guy who's plays a big role in our locker room. So I think there's a lot of those guys to go along with some of the players that have been here for a while now. Hugo Legwenick and Orrin Asher in goal. That again we expect big things from in terms of leadership.
Chris, one more for you.
Yeah, I just wanted to touch on Orrin Asher, someone who has more or less cemented the number 1 spot from the moment he stepped on with the program. I guess what do you? I guess how much of a step forward do you expect him to take this year? And I guess what can Rutgers fans look to see out of him?
Yeah, I think he took a big step from that 2019 season when he was a freshman to the spring 2021 season that we had. Last year, he was a big personality for us in terms of leadership and just he's always been a guy that loves to practice. If you come to one of our practice, Orrin is a guy who loves to train. I mean, he is full hit all the time, intense. We have to pull him off the field. So that's always been his kind of his MO. But I think it's more so what he's doing, how he's communicating with the players around him, I talk to him a lot about, can you make players around you better? Can the guys that are playing with you feel that you make them better? Not only can you keep the ball out of the goal, which he's very good at, as you guys have seen, but can you make other guys better? So I think he's done a really good job with that. He's a serious guy, competes every day in training, wants to do well, takes it incredibly seriously, takes the responsibility to be a top player very seriously. So I think he's taken a lot of leaps in kind of his in the other areas besides just keeping the ball out of the goal. So I expect him not only to be a very, very good, Big Ten player for us, but I also expect him to get guys around him to play at their top level, and he's doing that already. And I think he's really taken some big steps in those areas. So proud of the way that he's kind of developed as a guy too.
Brian, anything else from you? Dom, anything else?
Coach, I'll give you one more. I got to talk to Jackson and Richie before the season, and they talked about the heartbreak of how last season ended and now setting goals for this fall. What are the goals for the fall, and how is that communicated within the program? Yeah,
I think a lot of our guys felt that pain, right? When you play in big games and you don't kind of get across the line. I think last year, beating Maryland the first time we played them, and then winning or leading that game, I should say, in the quarterfinal, and then it ends up tied and we lose in penalties is painful. But as I said to the guys in that moment, it's only painful because you care a lot and you're playing an important game. So, listen, I think the ultimate goal for our guys is to make the NCAA tournament. I think that's one of the main things that they have a goal set on. But the only way you can do that is you've got to win games in your non-conference schedule, right? You got to win those games and make sure that you're playing well even outside the Big Ten, and then you got to finish in the top half of the Big Ten for sure, right? That's something that kind of helps you kind of put yourself in a position. We felt we were very close to making the NCAA tournament last year, and if you look at the field and even in our conference with Maryland making the NCAA tournament last year, we were right there. So we feel that it's not out of our reach at all. So you have to play well. You got to try to stay healthy. You have to have a lot of players contribute. You got to be able to win some games on the road. You got to take care of your games at home. So, but the ultimate goal for this group is making the NCAA tournament, and with that comes playing well in the Big Ten and giving yourself to win that championship as well, right? If you're in the conference tournament playoffs, you have as good a chance as anybody else to win the Big Ten tournament. So that's the ultimate goal for us, and we feel that it's you don't want to get ahead of yourself. You're taking those games literally one game at a time because they're all important. But this team got a taste of it last year. We have some older guys that really want to continue to make a mark on this program. We talk a lot about Rutgers has a ton of history, and we want to kind of honor that history with so many great players and a lot of success in the past, but we also want to write our own history a little bit too. So they take that seriously, and we've got the next kind of 3 months to kind of chase it and put everything into it.
Chris, anything else from you?
I'm good.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for being here. We'll see you on Thursday.
Thanks, guys. I appreciate it. Take care.